Hey guys, this presentation will be about the skeleton anatomy. We will discuss the functions of the bones and cell types. Not only that, we will discuss what taxonomy is and how it goes on in our daily lives. Let's start out with a simple question. What are bones? Bones are alive and are just as dynamic as any of your organs. They are made of active connective tissues which is being broken down, regenerated, and they can even repair themselves. Normally, people think that the reason that we have bones is they give our bodies structure and the ability to move. This is true, however, bones do much more than that. Bones store calcium, phosphate, and other minerals that help keep neurons firing and allows our muscles to contract. Not only that, bones allow hematopoiesis to happen. Hematopoiesis is blood cell production. This production is generated in the bone marrow. This helps us store energy as fat. An average human has 206 bones. Each bone is a different size and shape. Because of this, there are different shape classifications. There are long bones, short bones, flat bones, and irregular bones. Long bones are longer than they are wide. They include the tibia, fibula, and your phalanges. The short bones are the small bones, which include the talus, cuboid, lacuna, and scaphoid. Your flat bones are thin. They include the sternum, scapula, and brain casing. Lastly, your irregular bones are weirdly shaped. They include the vertebrae and pelvis. These bones are divided into structures. The first thing that is considered is the location of the bone, and then it's divided into two categories, the axial and the appendicular groups. The axial bones are the vertical axis of the body. These bones are the foundation of your body. They provide skeletal support, organ protection, and they carry body parts. There are 80 bones divided into this category, which includes the skull, vertebral column, and the thoracic case region. The appendicular group allows us to move around. These bones include the shoulder blade, pelvic, and limbs. Now that we have a general understanding on what a bone is and different shapes and sizes, let's go more in depth and move on to the internal structure of bones. Bones have a smooth-looking external layer of compacted choroidal or hard bone. However, if you were to look under a microscope, you would see the layered plates which create small little tunnels. Inside the bone, you will find something called spongy bone. Spongy bone looks like little pores. They play a big role in making blood cells. There is this cross hatching in the spongy bone which is called trabecula. These cross hatches help the bone resist stress. Spongy bone is where you find the bone marrow. There are two different types of bone marrow. There is red bone marrow and yellow bone marrow. Red bone marrow is where the red blood cells are produced, and the yellow bone marrow is where energy is stored as fat. Each bone has a slightly different arrangement of bone tissue. For example, flat, short, and irregular bones have the spongy bone surrounding the inside of the compact bone. But for long bones, the spongy bone is concentrated at the epiphysis, which is located at the tips of the bone. The diaphysis, the middle of the bone, is filled with yellow marrow instead of spongy bone. Enough about bones, now let's get into taxonomy. Taxonomy is a science classification of living things. To sum things up, taxonomy is the story of life. It was created to help humans understand how we are connected to every living thing. It would be too complicated to comprehend all this information without a structure. In 1707, a Swede by Carl Linnaeus started to make his own taxonomic system. He dedicated his study to nomenclature, which is a study based on morphology. Back then, people would categorize organisms by analogous or homeopathy traits. This means they would categorize by similar appearance that was originated from different origins. However, Linnaeus categorized by using homologous traits, which we still use to this day. This means he categorized from bones that come from common evolutionary ancestors. We are still categorizing groups into taxa like Linnaeus did. Taxa means to group organisms. The taxonomic system we use is called the phylogenetic tree. This tree shows evolutionary relationships between every living species. This tree includes kingdom, class, order, family, genesis, and species. In the domain, there are bacteria, archaea, and eukarya. Bacteria and archaea are both procreates, which mean they have genetic material that doesn't have a nucleus. Eukarya is all living forms that have a nucleus. Bacteria and archaea used to be in the same category called Monera. However, they both have distinct evolutionary histories. Archaea is closely related to the eukaryotes but have different cell membranes and enzymes to make its RNA. Next is the kingdom. In the kingdom, there are protists, fungi, plantae, and animalia. Protists are single-cell organisms that can either be autotrophs or heterotrophs. Some photosynthesize while others eat their food. Plantae are autotrophs. They all use photosynthesis. Fungi have cell walls that are made up of chitin. Fungi are heterotrophs and have digestive enzymes to break down their food. Lastly, there's Amelia, who are multicellular and are heterotrophs. Almost every one of them can move and they develop 2 to 3 germ layers when in the embryonic development, unless it's a sponge. Bones and taxonomy have a big impact on life. Without the knowledge of these, we wouldn't be able to understand things around us. Bones help us understand our ancestors and help us understand how we are alive. Taxonomy helps us understand how everything is related and how similar we are to living creatures, even when we don't look the same. Well, that's everything in a nutshell. There is so much information out there if you want to know more. I hope you enjoyed my presentation.